you could have those moderate positions. It did not have to be, this black or white, believe all the Bible or you believe none of it. It was none of that. It was very moderate. And I mean, my seminary had a school of social work. And I mean, we were graduating social workers, on a regular basis. And these were not going out to convert people. They were social workers.
Do you remember, was LGBT considered a choice back then?
Oh, yeah. And it was, in the seminary, it was something that was kind of, everybody knew it was there, but it was kind of like, we're not going to say anything. And I will tell you that when I started making a transition from agnosticism to atheism, I went to one of my professors in comparative religion, which I still, when I became an atheist, I still wanted to teach comparative religion because I do think that is a way that you understand people, is understanding their religion. And when I told him I was, moving toward atheism, he was like, "Everybody's got their own path. You've got to follow yours." And that was a professor at my seminary. That would never happen today.
That's interesting.
But we had, music majors there that, people would probably say stereotypically were, gay. Nobody tried to out them. Nobody tried to, so there was a lot more tolerance.
It is interesting because, I mean, my own observation, or this is a social interpretation, is it seems like that in the 80s when Pat Robertson and Falwell and others were putting together their Christian colleges, also specifically to try, there seemed to be two broad purposes underlying the thing. One was to put out more apologetics teaching, and two was just, I know on Robertson especially, was to train lawyers who would then take conservative religious ideas and try to get into government. So I've always thought that was part of what started the trend from Reagan's time forward to get society more conservative and politically active.
I think there's no doubt about that whatsoever. In 1974, the Southern Baptists in their convention had a neutral position on abortion. It was not until after moral majority, after Ronald Reagan, that you pretty much had a hijacking of conservative Christianity to what it is today, what it's morphed into, which is in some cases a very scary form of like Christian nationalism, where you wrap up. It was a pretty thorough takeover. One of the reasons I left the seminary early, and I graduated in 92, part of the reason I did that was because the Southern Baptist Church is set up on like a business structure with committees and governance boards and things like that, and they control parts of the seminary system. And they were firing some of the liberal, moderate professors, and they were bringing in these more fundamentalist administrators and presidents for the seminary. And I just knew that if I stayed there and tried to do my doctorate work there under a different administration, I would probably be kicked out, because they were having professors sign like, loyalty oaths and signing off on theology stances and things like that. Kind of what they're trying to do in Florida now, except with politics.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I mean, the idea that you'd sign a religious loyalty oath at a place of education, it's like, that by definition tells tells you that this is not an educational place; it's an indoctrination place. And you get, education is the carrot, right?
Right. Well, especially with the Protestant background, and you have priesthood of the believer, it's like you really shouldn't have a loyalty in a theological statement of fact. But it became completely twisted at that point.
Yeah. Well, gosh, that's sad to hear, but I guess it makes sense. Shoot. Yeah. I don't know how it's going to change. I mean, I'm surprised it has grown it as big as it has. I don't know if it's going to, at what point it'll shift back. It seems to me that just the fact of the realities of fact, like that evolution is true, eventually will catch up, and more people will dismiss the type of creationist ideas and etc. But I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, but I do think that is the way to do it. I mean, it's with objective, provable, repeatable. I mean, like I find it extremely sad.
Somebody's got a speakerphone on or something.
I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah, Ophelia and Diana. Yeah, we'll have to check your feedback, please.
But yeah, just the idea of asking somebody, like, where did a fossil come from if the Earth is 6,000 years old? And oftentimes, when they've never heard it put that way, you can tell the wheels are turning in the head, and hopefully that's enough of a push to kind of let them understand that you can look at a mythical way of respecting what the Bible says or any religious doctrine. You don't have to be a literalist to the stories.
Yeah, well, that's one way. That'll get things started. Welcome, Ophelia and Diana. Hello.
Hi, Phil. How's it going?
Hello. Did I join by accident?
I don't know. I think you hit something. Did you not intend to join?
It said the host invited me to join.
Well, then you hit something because you came in.
I think I should drop out then because I just saw this invitation.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
apologies.
Talk to you later. Another time. So, Ophelia, how are you doing?
I'm okay. How about you?
I'm all right. I missed the night because I had some friends, went out with some friends yesterday. So I think this is only the second night I've missed on my every other night pattern where I've gone to the third night instead. But that's life. It'll happen occasionally.
Yeah, that's good. It's great that you're doing it a couple of times a week.
Well, it's pretty good about every other night. So I've only missed it once or twice now. So.
Yeah, that's good. It's getting easier and easier. Nerve-wise.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, every time I get something difficult, like a tag argument or something like that, I'll learn from it. So, and there was a couple of hard ones, and then I haven't had one since. So we'll see how I do on it next time.
That's good. I still haven't done one, but but I'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's on your mind tonight?
Like you mean like a specific topic?
Whatever.
It's funny how like you have a million things in your brain, but then like somebody asks you, it's like it just dissipates. It'll come to me.
Yeah. I'll send out some more. I sent out an invitation to 7. TikTok forum boy. I've sent an invite out, but I don't think he's able to come up, frankly.
Hey Phil, I've got to drop. I've got to get ready for early morning. So
okay,
hope you have a great night, and
thank you so much.
Right.
Take care.
Night.
Talk to you next time. Let's see.
Do you ever watch like Jay Leno and some other people did it where they'd go on the streets and interview people and ask them like basic history questions,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and they couldn't answer the simplest ones. I,
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is just when you're put on the spot like that, it does something to your brain where you can't think.
Yeah, and of course they edit those, right? So they're not going to show the ones where people do know the information because that's no fun, right?
Right.
But yeah, I've had that. I've had a few of those where, it's like my anxiety kicks in sometimes, and that's why I try to have the coffee. It helps me concentrate a little bit, and it stops me from thinking sometimes, and then I'm like stuck for a minute.
You
But
said
yeah,
I'm
well,
sorry. I'm answering something in the comment.
uh, well, some of that presuppositional stuff. I mean, it's intended to be confusing. That's a piece of it. It's complex. Some of it gets to be very complex, and it's hard to follow the logic. And some of the logic, like Matt Slick's argument, which I'm not even going to attempt to recite. I couldn't. It's like 30 premises long or something ridiculous like that. So So it seems like that's part of the intention is to make it hard to follow. I know I've interacted with theists who follow some of these people at some of the live events that I've been to, that give the we all kind of have this bias for our own side, if you will. So, but they'll look at these people and say, well, they can't follow it either, but they believe them because they're talking confidently and they're coming to the God conclusion, which is what they already are familiar with. So you get some of that, and it's hard to convince those people that there's something wrong, especially when these are people like William Lane Craig that are very good at what they do and very smart people. So, hey, Seven, welcome in.
Hey, what's good?
How are you going? How you going? How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Just had a fireworks show in my near town, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of nice to witness
What,
and be a part of.
what's the occasion for the fireworks?
I don't know, just it's just some kind of town thing that they do. It's just they do it like um every August or like around this time. So I don't know. It's just to bring the townspeople together, I guess. So it's
That's
nice.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
My son used to live within sight of Disneyland in Southern California, so it's just like fireworks every night.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's
got it.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, I don't know how long it takes you to get tired of that, but that's pretty cool. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, how would you get tired of fireworks? Like,
I don't
I never.
know.
Yeah,
I've never gotten tired of fireworks.
yeah.
So let me see. TikTok foreign boy. You only have 43 followers, so I'm thinking you're probably not allowed up here. Maybe it's the age of your account that implies your birth date or something. Because I am not able to send you an invite, so I don't think you're allowed up. That's my guess. You're asking why. So let's see. Let me go back here. Seven, remind me, what was your education? You told me last time.
Um, I'm basically a college student. I went to um a university to study at media and also did a little bit of astronomy background. So yep, that's pretty much it for my
Were you able to
education.
put those together in any way, or what's your job now? If you don't mind me asking.
Pretty much, I'm just doing like that's a freelance work where I just edit videos for people, take photography, and but also do some on-site coding and software engineering and software development stuff like that. So Yeah.
That's hard. It's so competitive. It is so competitive.
Oh yeah. I mean, like the field of technology is aging like very rapidly, and you just have to, like keep up and keep innovating and keep
Yeah.
learning along. Because if you just fall back, even like a month or a week or something like that, people already ahead of you like 2 steps. So it's definitely a good field for like variety of things if you want to be creative. That's why I
Yeah.
basically chose the field that I wanted to go into. I'm like a more like a creative kind of person, so like media type, like that's basically computer side, IT kind of that spectrum was my kind of go-to.
That's
And then
cool.
the astronomy, that was just um because I had nothing else to that filled my interest back then, and I just I just loved learning about science, space, and all
Yeah.
that kind of mumbo jumbo. So yeah,
You got one or two. I mean, you've got a relatively new channel, as I recall, but you've got one or two sort of educational things that you're trying to
yeah,
that
I
you
have a lot of
teach.
that's educational pieces that I could do and stuff like that. I'm still trying to find out how to put my channel into where I wanted to be. But previously, when I started with my channel, it was mostly IT, computer stuff, building PCs, like troubleshooting stuff, stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's how I got my foot into a big following and stuff like that. I got my
Yeah.
channel really started and stuff like that. But then, like mid like 2020, I switched more into the gear of science, space, and STEM um, content and stuff like that. So I'm still trying to see where that kind of um, genre
Yeah.
goes and how to make videos out of it and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah. I love STEM educators as much as we could possibly have.
yeah,
Would
definitely
be
you're
great.
right.
So yeah, and you're relatively young. I know. I mean, you're not young, but
Yeah,
so you have a advantage over someone who looks like me in terms of getting people to want to watch you. So that
yeah,
that helps.
I guess so. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm gonna look back here at TikTok foreign boys stuff. I mean, you guys have been talking with him back and forth, but I'm curious to see if I can bring up one of his questions since he can't come up apparently, not through his own fault. So. There may not be something, but I'm just kind of looking. Atheismo. Atheismo, where are you at? I mean, what part of the world? I'm curious. Diana joined by accident. Sorry, Diana. Well, you guys were doing a little bit of morality stuff, but well, should I go to my big selection of questions?
yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay, let me do that. Yeah, I don't see anything up there. All right, I'm gonna pull up my phone. I could do the laptop, but I'm afraid it's gonna make noise. If I was going through something like StreamYard, I could put a noise canceling thing, but
Gotcha.
let me pull up a document here. Let's see. Okay, while I'm doing this, give me a number between 1 and 50.
Um, 78, I guess.
No, 1 in 50.
Oh, 150, my bad. 26.
26. Question number 26. How do you address the problem of evil and suffering from an atheistic perspective? So who wants to start on that? Ophelia, you want to start on that? Oops. Ophelia, you still there? Oh, you're muted.
I'm here. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
So we're going with a question out of my big question pile. It says, how do you address the problem of evil and suffering from an atheistic perspective?
How do we deal with the problem of suffering?
Suffering and
Properly.
evil.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that makes me think that there's not a God, and if there is a God, then he's not good. I mean, some people have really good lives and other people don't, and there are things like childhood cancer. Children are innocent for the most part. I know they lie and things like that, but most Christians believe there's an age of accountability. And you have babies and children all the time that suffer. Animals suffer, and they don't even have the capacity to even know what sin is. So I think the presence of evil makes it more unlikely that there's an all-knowing and all-good God. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. Do you have a TV on in the background?
I do. Here, I'll move.
Yeah, sorry, it's still hard to follow.
Yeah.
So do you think that evil, how do you describe evil?
Well, we all experience suffering as bad. Evil, I think in the Bible, I may be wrong. It's been a while. I think evil in the Bible was just anything that caused suffering, or I don't
Well, we
know.
don't have to go there because the question says from an atheistic perspective.
Okay.
As an atheist,
How do I define evil?
how do you define evil? What do you think evil is?
Doing things to other people that I wouldn't want done to me.
Is there a difference between minor bad and evil? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people like Smittler, I think most of us would consider that evil. People that do things that it's hard to wrap your mind around, like how can they do it? How can they bring themselves to do it? If I love chocolate cake. If there's one last piece of chocolate cake, I have to really rein myself in to not go and, try to get the last piece for myself. And I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I lose that battle within myself. But, so yeah, I do think there are different levels of evil.
What do you think, Seven? Do you think there's any truth to the concept of evil as a sort of a force in the world? For
No.
lack of a better word.
If there was some kind of force that you probably really see it at first hand, it's like if I go to like a supermarket or a store or something like that, and a person ahead of me at checkout is having like a bad day or something like that, and it goes, it's it puts it onto the cashier, the bag or whatever, and it's next thing that he's not, that person is actually not really but like mean or evil or bad and stuff like that. They might be having a bad day. So in terms of looking at evil, it's kind of a broad spectrum in terms of like how do you what kinds of levels of evil or what kinds of levels of actions people take in terms of what kind of um, consequences are on the other side in terms of if they want the person like suffering or how much damage that caused to with something or someone or that kind of range in terms of how like suffering the evil and that comes into viewpoints as an like an atheist but perspective we don't see evil that's in that kind of that realm is like some kind of entity that will come and destroy you and is out there trying to hunt you down and stuff like that. No,
Yeah.
basically it's just
In a
a it's
Stranger Things kind of way, you know.
yeah, exactly, like
Yeah.
there's nobody out there trying to let's come for you unless you're doing something not you're not supposed to, like pissing people off or something like that. They might try to
Yeah.
do something to you, but there's no that's anybody or any that's some kind of supreme entity trying to destroy your whole life or your existence because it books it. So
I agree with you. Give me 1 sec. I just put the dog out the door here. There's let you go. Time for his supper. So, a theist would sometimes take this argument into a way of there's evil in the world because you can't have good without evil. Good can't exist without evil. How would either of you respond to that?
I see it more like the Superman in terms of like that's like Batman or Superman or that kind of it's kind of like made up in terms of uh, that kind of scenario where but if there isn't any bad, then how could there be good? If there's always good, then
Yeah.
that the whole world would be boring, and that there'll just be like a numb world basically of selfless robots, I guess. In terms of that's how I view it, as that people that it's like everything's good, everything's like a perfect world, nothing's wrong, nothing's out of shape or ordinary, and stuff like that. But I view that kind of world as like kind of boring, dull, and more so like emptyless. But when you add the spectrum of there's something going against your willpower, your its own its existence, everything like that, then you have some kind of restraining like obligation to um, let's try to mitigate that drift and have some kind of that uprising in that. And I think that's why, in terms of this good and evil, is it has propagated so much is because there has to be some kind of fulfillment uprising that's in terms of how everything's shaped and what it's going and how it's doing, so people feel some
What,
kind of
what do you mean
role
by
to
uprising?
like basically like a superhero that's finding its own strengths, and then because it's there's some kind of bad and finding its own place. It's like Batman with Gotham City, they're finding their own story, their own personality, basically, and then
Yeah.
having that kind of let's spread that out in Gotham City like Batman is, and having some kind of semblance of the duty and role, basically. That's what I'm trying to really go to is what's trying to face the evil that's or the bad that the DS thinks that's happening all over and 24/7. Yeah.
Hmm. I feel you. Do we need evil as a counterbalance to good?
I would say it's useful to understand
Well,
the
Shannon,
content.
let's give this one to affiliate, please.
Okay. Yep.
Just to go back and forth though.
I can see where they're coming from. Like that old saying, the best sauce is hunger, you know? Food tastes so much better when you're hungry, but if God is all powerful, he could have made it to where we didn't need the contrast. And in fact, in the Garden of Eden, he made everything perfect. So did Adam and Eve not experience good because they hadn't known evil yet?
That's interesting. I hadn't heard of that before. Yeah, you're right. Because the God gave us free will argument goes against the Adam and Eve. Because you're right. He created a perfect environment for them where there apparently was no need for it. right? So, and Eve didn't even do it, eat the apple of her own accord. She had to be tempted into it, which was, something that he could have prevented, as the story goes. So, yeah, just the idea that you have to have both doesn't even, or free will as an excuse doesn't work for me. And yeah, I don't see. I agree with you guys. I don't see that evil is a thing. I see that people do good things and bad things.
Or have bad days and good days, But you have to really, let's be careful with that because you really don't know really the person just because of, this one bad thing. You have to look at all the variables.
Well, it depends on the scale. I mean, you go out and take out your neighbor's dog. That's something that's more than a bad day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see your point. Yeah, I find those types of concepts are like they're like overstated. That there's I don't know, and then you look at the baggage that comes along with that too, right? If there's evil now, there's an evil giver, right? Now you've got a Satan, and now you've got demons, and it's like,
It sounds like exhausting work to,
yeah,
try to handle all of this. And I can see why, this evil thing causes so much pressure and anxiety over, the everyday life for people because they have this thing just basically following them and pressuring them into temptation and, whatever thoughts come along with that. And it's just, it's not good, healthy for, uh, humans, to always experience that. But it's kind of more, but also you can say that it's more like um, like evolutionary kind of point too as well, because you're always
yeah,
looking at that in terms of mitigating the threat and facing the threat before it gets you and stuff like that. So that's there's more like some kind of truth to that introspection. But when you put like religion into it, it's like just broadens more problems into the whole mess. And
yeah.
yeah.
I agree. I was going to go there next. Actually, I was going to say, talk about animal behavior, right? So when animals are competing for territory or for food or stuff, they do what we would consider evil acts to each other if humans were doing those sorts of things. And it's really just higher up on the evolutionary scale where we sometimes we typically hold ourselves back because we're more aware of others and other minds and stuff, where they're less aware of that in the animal kingdom. So this is why morality is so important, to develop a good morality. Let's see, I'll throw out a few more invites. Okay, let's see who gave me that number. Ophelia, give me a number. Let's pick another one.
43.
43. All right. You get no wiggling out. You got to take what comes. I don't know if this is good or bad. I haven't even read it. 43. How do you explain the widespread existence of religious belief across different cultures and times?
The God of the gaps. All throughout history, when we couldn't explain something, we applied a deity to it. The ancient Greeks didn't understand lightning, so they explained it by saying Zeus did it. I even catch myself still doing it, even though I've been officially an atheist for about 4 years now. I'm fascinated by weird coincidences, and if it's a coincidence that's favorable, I think maybe is there like some spirit or something. My mind automatically jumps to there must be maybe a grandmother or something, great great grandmother,
Yeah.
somebody guiding things. But I'm like, okay, well, what about people that are in human trafficking right now? Like, why would this spirit be helping me with this
Yeah.
in comparison minor thing? And so yeah.
Did you retain any of your spiritual? No. Did you retain any of your supernatural beliefs when you
Uh,
became an atheist?
uh, no. I mean,
Superstitions?
Well, I like when I was deconstructing. I mean, I guess I'm still deconstructing. Probably never finished, but when I was like hardcore deconstructing, I tried a Ouija board just because I was trying all these different things that I wasn't allowed to do, and it didn't work. I was really disappointed. I was disappointed too.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see that.
Ghosts. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've been on like 3 or 4 ghost tours in different places on vacation. I don't know if you're familiar with the Stanley Hotel in Colorado.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
That's the one. That's the one from The Shining, isn't it?
yeah, yes. And
Yeah.
there are a couple of rooms that are supposedly haunted, and they're really expensive. So I stayed one night in one of the
Oh.
supposedly haunted rooms. Nothing happened. I was very disappointed. So, yeah, yeah, not
I
really.
paid. I paid for ghosts. At
Yes.
least come knock on the wall in the middle of the night,
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, I'm not really seeing any reason to believe in supernatural things.
Yeah, that's interesting. Seven. How about I forget. Seven. You were raised non-religious, right? If I got my
Yeah,
memory right.
yeah, pretty much. That's
Yeah.
I knew it from the start, and I was like, this is absurd. We have better methods of trying to understand reality, and that in the context of that's how religion is just it just so compiled with nonsense that it's like,
Are
yeah,
there
no.
are there are there any superstitious practices in your family? Like don't walk under ladders or don't open umbrellas inside and those types of things.
No, not really. Like I don't really. That's well, look at that, and that's think that's any kind of that's some kind of weird thing behind it. But let's look at something you know random, or it's something I can understand. I'll go to a scientific uh, context first to see how and why it is. But from early on, I always question a lot of things, and I try to learn why they work and how they work and stuff like that. I think that's also like the side of engineering kind of me. Like I'm kind of more like engineering, creative, like oriented. So that's why I think I didn't really fall into religion that hard, because that's
Yeah.
I would really be more creative minded and like more strategic minded to understand what is really going on and stuff like that. But in
Yeah.
terms of like history of religion, it's I found like this funny meme where it starts basically with humans worshiping magic rocks, then like next thing you know they're going to magic animals, then magic invisible animals in the sky, then it goes into invisible people in the sky, then fewer invisible people in the sky, like Greek to Christianity, then people who claim to have come from the sky, basically, and then people who claim to speak for the people who claim to have come from the sky, and then you just grow up basically
Yeah.
and become an atheist. So that's kind of really funny in terms of the history of religion. We start from like magic, worshiping magic rocks like crystals, like people
Yeah.
do today. Still think crystals have some kind of weird powers to growing up to an atheist. So it's like it's a big, it's understanding of how like basically the history of religion and how it spread. Um, Basically from the Middle East. It was really big in that section of the area, and then that's for some reason it stayed there, but then it was then brought across to other places and whatnot. So yeah, we just I guess was for some reason we like to place people and things in the sky and then think that's higher than us. I guess I don't get that. Like, why not put rocks and magic people that's in space and then worship them? I would definitely worship like astronauts and stuff like that. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know why aren't more people not doing that. Rocks are cool. I would see that more like some kind of religion I would follow. But yeah.
What I remember also went away when I became atheist. I mean, the superstitious stuff went away, but Another thing that I wasn't expecting was fear of the dark reduced significantly.
Oh yeah, like
And yeah, I mean, and understandably, I'm a white guy, so I'm not a female, and so there's more of a reason to be fearful there, rational fears, but the irrational piece of it reduced significantly, and it's because I was just like, especially when you're doing stuff like walking in your a backyard or some place that it's relatively isolated from other people being able to have access to, and you just because it's dark doesn't mean there's something there,
yeah, I mean, like
So
as
just
people, like I was just thinking, like people who are blind and stuff like that, they must be scared of the dark all the time because you can't really see anything, and
yeah,
but if you are like scared of the dark, I think a person would be a good like a teacher in terms of how to um, go around self-awareness and going around environments to help reduce that kind of anxiety and
yeah.
fear of the dark and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's something useful to like keep in mind.
You're right. It does reduce anxiety. I mean,
Yeah,
even something as simple as it's trash night. I got to put the cans out, and I forgot to do it. So now it's like 11 o'clock at night, right? So I'm hauling the trash cans outside, and it's dark. You just turn on the brain and go. You just think about this. There's nobody out there who has been like stalking me for 3 hours, waiting for me to come out to put my trash cans out to jump me or
exactly.
something.
And you have like a bag of trash. You can use it as a weapon, and like you can throw it at them and make them
There
feel
you
stupid
go.
or something like that. So
There you go. I got
you
something
have some
real
kind of advantage.
stinky in
Like
here.
just look around your environment, look around yourself. What can you do
Yeah.
in that situation?
So that was another cool benefit. All right. We talked out the audience. Whoever's here, if you wouldn't mind throwing a few hearts down, just tap the screen a few times. We'll see if we can attract a little bit more audience. I've got a little more energy, so let's see if we can attract a few more people.
I'm, I'm tapping.
Thank you. Let's see. Ooh, thank you.
Diana's asking to join.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh yeah, and I also did a project in school that involved the phobia of dark, and I had to come up with a solution or a idea in terms of how to help people mitigate that kind of situation. So what I did was I basically made a VR, I made it like a VI that's environment where it was like a house, but then it had all the things around them to help the person when the lights went off. They had like kind of power outage. Like I would have kind of different environments of like
That's cool.
things around the house and stuff like that that you could like learn and get used to and stuff like that to get
You could
fear of the dark.
dehabituate the fear.
Yeah, and
That way.
it's in VR, so you can basically move around and be in your surroundings, basically. And yeah, it's kind of pretty cool stuff.
I like that idea because I mean, the world is scary enough. We don't have to have irrational fears on top of our rational fears. So, Diana, welcome. I'm glad you decided to come in. You had a comment on this or something else?
Good evening.
Hey,
It's always good to see you on your lives here.
thank you so
I
much.
was wondering if you'd be amenable to me going back to the question of evil, addressing evil as an atheist,
Sure.
or
Sure.
would you prefer to keep
No,
moving forward?
no. Go back.
Okay.
I'm fine. Whatever you want to talk about is fine with me.
Yeah, the idea of evil, good, bad, right, wrong, really interesting because people tend to turn them into black and white terms, and then they tend to anthropomorphize them as some kind of abstract thing with a personality Instead of it being a label we apply to actions that we observe based on our moral codes as a society. So I do think some things are evil. I call them evil. I've had experience with psychopaths and malignant narcissists in my life. And so I consider something evil to be something that is done intentionally by someone who is capable of understanding what they're doing, and they are doing it without regard to the feelings, health, well-being, emotions, or boundaries of the people that they are affecting. And they are doing something that causes some kind of terrible harm to someone. So people are fascinated with serial killers and murders of all kinds.
That can be a tough line to distinguish. That can be a tough line to distinguish, though, sometimes. How aware they are and how much self-control they have over it. Not to give psychopaths any leeway, frankly, but I wonder about that. It's like I wonder sometimes, so especially with the more extreme people, if they really don't have control over some of this. But you're right.
For instance, you could say someone who can't help themselves from being a serial killer or can't help themselves, supposedly. But at some point, as conscious human beings, I think we need to allow for the fact that if you are not mentally disabled and you're able to talk about this thing you're doing, that you have the ability to say something about it. Like someone who can go for help for an addiction, for instance. Yes, sometimes they can't, but they are also not necessarily doing evil to another person, doing harm. By that I mean, and I will give you a personal example if you don't mind. Having been married to someone who is a psychopath, that I didn't realize that till many, many, many years, who I found out later was torturing and harming animals, doing terrible things to the children, to me, etc. And in court, when talked to by the judge, they have to go to some kind of psychological counseling because of supposed rage problems. And they just completely cold-bloodedly said, "Oh no, I don't have a rage problem. I do all that intentionally. That's how I keep control of the situation." Just absolute, complete consciousness, but no caring for empathy, no having of empathy, no compassion, no caring for the harm that it does. All that mattered was that it does something for them. In the same nature, same way that a serial killer is doing something for them, they don't care about their victims. And so I can label that as evil.
Manipulation is a big part of those personalities too. For sure.
But just as some.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. But I just mean, as far as if they're doing something to harm someone, and it's intentional, and they don't have any remorse for it, etc., that's evil. People who are harming children, that's evil. There's certain things within the construct of our society we have agreed that I don't want it to be done to me, and I don't want anybody else to do it. And if they persist in doing it, they are doing what we might call evil. But it's not coming from an external force, not from a deity, a demon, some balance of evil and good in the universe. I think those things are constructs that we make to try to help justify in our mind that things are not, that life is not kind and good all the time. And evil has to be there. That makes us feel better somehow, that we have no control over it, instead of just saying, no, it doesn't have to be there. And it's a bad thing for anybody involved, and it sucks. And just being able to have radical acceptance of that. So I don't think evil is something external, but I think it is a label we can put on things that we find are unkind, uncompassionate, and you can put it on a scale if you want to, not like a weighing scale, but you can say some things are more evil than others.
That's fair.
But I don't. Yeah. But anyway, that's my thoughts on evil. Same thing for right, wrong. We put labels on a set of actions. And those labels don't have a life of their own. They are to abstract quality.
Yeah. I think it's important that
I've been an atheist for probably over. I'm gonna.
For how long? How long, Diana?
Over 50 years. Over 50 years.
Okay, good for you.
I was an adult when
It's to say it's important.
Go ahead. I think we're having a little lag here.
Yeah, it's important that we sort of figure this stuff out, because if you believe that evil is demons and crap like that, you're not going to figure out a good way to minimize it or stop it, right? You're going to be blaming the wrong things. I mean, and there are some. It's one thing to be a psychopath, right? Because that is largely biology, and sociopathy not so much. That's more cultural, learned behavior, as far as I know. So, if evil deeds happen in that realm, then we need to pay more attention to the cultural forces that encourage or allow them to happen. And as an example, the authoritarian structures of companies and churches and stuff, where bad things can happen and people within allow them to get away with it because it protects the organization, right, rather than the individual. So we really need to understand these things, and calling evil a force or a devil or a demon is not going to solve any problems. It's not going to prevent it from happening again. Look how many Catholic bishops were shipped from one parish to another. So.
Yeah, you had asked about addressing it, and basically that's why we have laws, and as our society progresses over time, we learn the value of therapy. We learn how to find ways to keep people safe from these people when they're identified, children safe from their malignantly narcissistic parents when they're identified, instead of sticking to old cultural structures, like parents have complete say over their children and they can do whatever they want to them. I think as we progress in our understanding of what causes these things, we can find humane and compassionate ways to keep people from continuing to do these things, even though some of them may be quite stringent. As in incarceration or whatever. But from an atheist point of view.
Yeah, sometimes it'll be necessary to do stringent things. Other times sometimes there might be rehabilitative things that can help.
So, some things are limited by pragmatism.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, some things are limited by pragmatism in society. I'll give you an example. If you have a violent dog, you have a dog that bites, and there's laws in most states about how animals have to be dealt with if they are known to bite people. And they have to be, for instance, on your property. Nobody can stick their hands through your fence to get bitten if they're known biters, etc. And at a certain point, that dog may be euthanized and maybe put down because it's a danger to the people around. And it's unfortunate, but there's no other option in our society as it exists right now. There's lots of things that happen in nature. Oh, you had said something else about we sometimes refrain from doing things that animals in nature don't. And I'd like to put a different point of view out there, because in a lot of cases, animals don't do the horrific things that people do. Like, we go to war and people just do horrible, horrible things to innocents, etc., in war. Whereas if you have animals fighting for territory, they don't always have that fight to the death thing that seems to be a human and also chimpanzee characteristic.
That's a very good point.
They will often fight until someone leaves.
Or gets
And they may
injured
be injured and they could die because of it, but they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get
But
ourselves
animals
in.
do. For instance, we try.
We get ourselves in trouble
I
sometimes.
say we
with
try.
this
We
big
try.
brain.
We try. In some.
Yeah. Sorry, the leg. It's okay.
Yeah, we get enough subconscious to get us to do other things. And I don't think it's I don't think it's an outside force. I don't think it's the devil making somebody doing something. It is just our natural mutation of our brains. Again, chimpanzees have wars. They do graping. They do all kinds of things that humans do. We share an ancestor, and those behaviors evolve somewhere along the line. That don't seem to happen in a lot of other species. So it's not just because we have sin or original sin or anything else, because it's there in some other species as well. But I just thought I'd throw that out there, having dealt with some people that I think are pretty evil. They've done some bad things, trying to kill me, trying to do things like this. Like, yeah, they're pretty much dangerous people to be out there running around. And you know of people, stalkers who are dangerous people, can't stop them until they finally unalive somebody.
But law enforcement is so important.
Were they possessed?
No. Yeah, I mean, seriously, if you think someone's
their brains
possessed,
were dysfunctional.
if you think someone's possessed, and you try to, what's the word, unpossess them? I can't think of the word now. You're not going to solve the problem, right? You're not doing anything. Yeah, if you try to exercise them, you're not gonna solve the problem, because that ain't it. So, yeah, modern stuff is much more useful. You can throw away the old stuff. I see a con here. I'm gonna send a new invite. New viewer. Oh,
What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing? Welcome
I'm
to the
doing
room.
good. I have a question really quick.
Go ahead. That's what we're
What's
here
the
for.
best advice you got?
The best advice I've got:
Yeah.
start saving for retirement as early as possible, even if it's only $5 a paycheck.
All right, thank you.
How's that? All right, that works.
No kidding.
I don't know if it's the best in the world, but it's good advice. Ophelia,
That is good advice.
Ophelia, what's the best advice you got? You have 30 seconds to come up with something.
Sugar. Limit your sugar intake. It does so much damage to your skin. It's just so many things. It affects our health.
That's true. Seven, what about you? What do you think is good advice?
Take risks. That's whenever you can. Whenever the opportunity flies, take risks early on in your life, so you have room to grow, room to improve, and always keep learning. There's never moments where you can't learn anything. So, take
You
risks.
came up with two, dude.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Well, I can go more on and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, on short notice, under pressure, that's pretty damn good. Good on you. Wow, I love the idea of lifelong learning.
Can I give it a go?
Yeah. Go ahead, Diane.
I would say to cultivate a balance between healthy boundaries for yourself and compassion for others. Don't ever let compassion for others violate your own boundaries. And if you can keep that balance, you're likely to have a very satisfying life.
Yeah, I think that's really important. We don't. I think that we don't have enough compassion for others. But you're right. Especially, I know since you've been through a situation of being taken advantage of, you have to be somewhat wary at times. So, yeah, cool. That
Healthy
amuses me.
boundaries can help you in just simple things too.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just having like pushing.
Yeah.
Another one would be no is a complete sentence. If people want you to do something and you say no, you do not have to justify yourself to anyone. No, thank you. I'm not interested. No, thank you. I don't want to. You don't have to have reasons that are good enough for anybody else. Your reasons for doing something or not doing something are all you need. You don't have to have validation from anybody else. And if you've got that, that's another good one that'll keep you safe from a lot of situations.
I'm gonna jot that down and make a meme of it. I love that. No is a complete sentence. That is so great.
That's not my original. There's a good YouTuber, Richard Grannon, that talks about that. It's also a very good test for toxic people. Find out how people react to being told politely a simple no, and not any explanation. Like, I don't care, go into it.
And I can Google it, because if I find
a lot of people in that cluster B personality, the Machiavellians.
Yeah. If I find his name on it, but I'll Google it then. So if I find his name on it, then I can put his credit on it. So, but it's such a lovely, easy to remember concept, and it's one of those things that you should carry. So,
it's useful for dating when people are dating, to find out if you're dealing with somebody who's going to turn out to be a jerk and is just acting nice to start with. Some simple no's. Say, no, I don't want to do that. That will often, and you sometimes have to do it a few times. But some people that have some really difficult personality disorders can't stand it.
There are, part of interacting with other people is trying to figure out sometimes who you want to interact with and who you should continue or who you should try harder on or whatever. And you gotta look for those red flags sometimes. So, and don't give somebody 4 chances.
And it doesn't matter if you're religious or an atheist.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I feel so bad that I can't get TikTok Farm Boy in here, but dude, keep on TikTok, and you'll get your numbers up to the point where you'll be able to join in on these lives. So, all right, everybody, I think we've run our course tonight. So, let's see if there's any more questions in the background.
Thank you for providing a calm space.
I'm trying. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'll take that. Thank you, Diane, for sharing. That was actually quite generous of you. Appreciate that.
I'm going to drop.
Okay. Okay, everybody. Let's wrap it up. We're a couple hours in, so tap the screen. Follow if you haven't already. Check me out on the other on YouTube, Instagram, and Threads. My other active ones, especially YouTube. I want to get those numbers up and do some lives over there, but I can't do that until I have some audience. So have a good evening. Enjoy the summer heat. If you can go swimming, go swimming. If you can't, get that sprinkler out or point the hose in the air and get under it. Do what you can.
Hydrate. And sunscreen too.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Night, Phil.
Good night. Be kind to each other.